This is Pod Strangely Warmed, a place where we tell the good Methodist story, where we have conversations that invite followers of Jesus to seek after that loving, just, and free world that God imagines for us all, and have a little fun along the way. Hi, and welcome to Pod Strangely Warmed. I'm Daniel Hawkins, your host, and we are back in the studio today to continue a conversation about how we as an annual conference can champion youth and children. And one of the amazing ways we do that within the life of our annual conference is through an annual conference ministry called Project Transformation. Today, I am joined on the podcast with some amazing interns from Project Transformation, Sin and London, and the executive director of Project Transformation Central Texas, Lynn Rhodes. Y'all met Lynn last summer here on the podcast, and so thanks for coming back at the end of an amazing summer. Lynn, what's been up in Project Transformation over the last 12 months since people last heard from you?
Yeah, so much. So we have 4 sites this summer, which is great. That's up from 3 sites that we've had in the past. In addition to that, we launched our first ever junior high school site, which is so exciting. Woo! Yeah, so that we can continue to walk with kids after they age out of the elementary school program, which we thought was so important. So that has also upped the number of interns that we've had this summer, which has made for an awesome community.
That is fantastic. And part of what I hope we can talk about today. With us are interns from our Bedford site. Sin, you were at Martin in Bedford. So one of the things about the Bedford site, it's one site, but 2 locations, right? In London, you were at First Methodist in Bedford with that aforementioned junior high site. So we've been praying for you at Martin all summer because, you've been, 100 feet from my office all summer long. But we've been definitely praying for y'all at First Bedford. As a parent of a junior high student right now, we've been praying with y'all this summer. Don't worry. London, could you share with us a little bit about who you are and what do you do outside of Project Transformation when you're not helping some amazing young people?
Yeah. So my name is London Shannon. I'm a junior at Texas Wesleyan University. I study business and minor in mass communications. And I just got into mass communications. I like public speaking, even though it kind of scares me a little bit, but I like being in front of people and talking. I've been performing basically my whole life. I did dance for 12 years, so I'm very comfortable on stages. I just kind of try to shy away from it just to fit in with people, but then I realized I really don't want to do that. I want to be out in public and have the eye on me. So I like performing. I like public speaking. I make music also. I just found out I'm really good with words. I did a poem at our Black History Month kickoff at school in February, and then I moved the whole room to tears. I didn't expect to do all that. It was a little bit much, but I enjoyed writing it. I enjoyed the feedback afterwards. Everyone was really impressed. So that's how I knew that I was good with words, and I wanted to be on stage more. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What was your role at the First Bedford location this year?
I was the reading coordinator for Bedford this year.
What does a reading coordinator do with Project Transformation?
So basically, I handle all the books. What the kids would say is the boring stuff because they complain about reading all the time. But they love the books that they read. So, it's a double-edged sword. So I bring the books there. I set up the books at the library. I give them books to take home every week. And when they want to take home the books, track all their readings, what page they read, what books they read. They often switch books all the time. Had a lot of Dork Diary fans. A lot of fiction and history fans. That is the gist of what the reading coordinator does as a sole job, yeah.
Very good. I would wonder how much in middle school that boredom is performative more than actual. That the cool thing to do is to be bored with reading time, but what your lived experience is they're engaged and they're doing it, and you're helping create that space for them.
Yeah.
Does the reading coordinator also kind of manage what they're reading and at what level they're reading and things like that?
We have assessments to figure out what level they're reading at, but for the most part, they pick their own books. I really let them try to have as much control of what they read instead of giving them a book to read because that makes them want to read less because they already kind of have a little attitude towards it anyways. So I let them pick what they want to read, and then that kind of softens everything up.
Very good. Sin, you've been at Martin all summer long. Tell us a little bit about what you do outside of Project Transformation and kind of where in life you are at right now.
All right, my name is Sin. I am an upcoming junior at UNT, University of North Texas. I'm Burmese American, and that plays such a big part of who I am. We did Culture Day at Project Transformation, and so I got to wear my cultural clothes. The kids got to see it, and so it was really nice just showing my culture to the kids. I'm also the co-director at my children ministry, so I've also been busy. Like every weekend, I go back to teach Sunday school to 7 and 8 year olds, and then we're planning for our upcoming camp. So I've been busy with that. Yeah,
Very
no
good.
free time. Yeah.
That's amazing. And what is your role at the Martin site?
So at Martin, I work as the site coordinator. So a lot of what I do is I'm the one greeting the parents. I'm responsible for communicating with church staff. I'm also responsible for tracking in like what kids are here today. I serve the lunches, so meal counts, and I also have to play the bad guy. So the kids are kind of wary of me because whenever they get and whenever they're not being their best, I'm the one who has to pull them aside and have those tough conversations with them. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. Principal.
Okay.
I'm the principal. Yeah.
Very good. That role of principal, it can be very rewarding, but you also do have to be the bad guy sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's been fun on our end. For those of you who don't know, I'm the lead pastor at Martin, and it has been a great joy to have Sin and her entire team on campus, and then the Bedford folks on campus on Thursdays, right? So
Yep.
Thursdays has been a collaboration day where we become one site with one location for those 8 days over the course of the summer. You need to know that Deanna, who is the executive administrator in our office, who is your primary kind of point of contact for all logistical support on an average day, she's going to be grieving over the fact that Sin there's not going to be a daily check-in every morning for how we can communicate and things. And I think that just speaks, at least from our end, to the ways in which you have helped cultivate that relationship, the ways you've been invested, and the ways we've been kind of partnered together. Lynn, we maybe should have started with this, but for those who didn't see you on last year's podcast and who may be unfamiliar with Project Transformation, give us the high-level 30,000-foot summary of what is Project Transformation and what does that ministry look like on a year-by-year basis?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I always try to communicate to folks is that we are a summer camp, and we attempt to provide a safe space for children to thrive. And we also include some really great learning in there. Yeah. So there's two kind of focuses for us in the learning component. We're not trying to replicate school. We're not trying to create the education system. It's really camp, so it needs to be fun because they've just been through 9 months of school, right? So we do a little bit of sneaky learning. A lot of that is social emotional learning skills. And people ask me all the time, what is social emotional learning skills? And that means being able to identify your feelings, express your feelings. And because you can identify and express your feelings, you can manage your feelings. And that's something that kids need. They need to be able to manage their feelings so that they can have good relationships and make priorities and plan their future and do all kinds of things like that. So we sneak some of those skills into the curriculum. So even structured playtime has a chance to learn some of those skills. And then the other component is literacy. I have had people ask, are you a literacy program? And the answer is no. We're a summer program that has literacy as a component. And so we do, it's about an 80-minute dosage of literacy each day with children. So we have lots of volunteers who come in on site and sit down and allow a child to read out loud to them, which is wonderful. It's good for everybody. I mean, the kids love it. The volunteers love it. I think it's a great way for the community to connect. But in addition to that, our reading coordinators teach an afternoon rotation that is called Reading Rock Stars. And that's a chance to go a little bit deeper with some structured curriculum about how do stories come together? How do you understand context? What are the components of a book? What does it mean to be a lead character? So you get a chance to do some of those other things as well. So I think it is a holistic program that addresses the whole child. We also provide lunch. It's a 9 to 3 program, so we have lunch every day. Because we want to make sure that we're addressing any food insecurities that exist out there for our families. So I love it. In that sense, I think it really does take the whole child into consideration.
I do think it's very meaningful. And having watched it up close this year for the first time. We've been reading partners for a number of years now at the churches I've served, but this is our first time having Project Transformation on campus all summer. That social emotional learning, in addition to the literacy, in addition to the tag time, the time where we talk about God and kind of have some spiritual education in the midst of that too, came into greater relief, and I came to a greater understanding, right? We made jokes about you being, the principal who's got to be where the buck stops at the end of the day, that kind of discipline approach. But even with things like discipline, right? It takes on a different component because of the emphasis on that social emotional learning and helping people understand what it is they're feeling, why they're feeling it, and how that kind of can be managed, not just by the group, but by the child themselves.
Yeah, and another part that I think our interns will say was new to them and new to their own experience, it's not what y'all experienced in school, correct?
Yes.
Is that we implement restorative justice practices instead of punitive practices. Huh. So a lot of times in the past, for a teacher, it was much easier to just have kind of a punishment component, go stand in the corner. That's not what they do, but it feels like that to a child. Where we want to empower the child to understand, hey, how did my actions cause me to get stuck in this place? Yeah. And how do I fix it? Or how do I accept an apology from another student, and how do I move on, right? Yeah. So those restorative justice practices kind of gives everybody a voice to understand how we got into the bad situation that we got in and a method to get out of it. And I think that's really important. And those are hard because those are new practices, but we watch kids thrive because of that. But the other component to our program is we hire college-age young adults and train them and empower them to run the sites. We're not there every day guiding them on how to run it. I mean, they get to plan and adjust the curriculum. And y'all can speak to this yourselves because you're the ones in the trenches doing it. And I love that. I think that's really great. So we just get to go and be resources. And one of my favorite things to do is I got to be a replacement intern at a couple of sites this year as someone had to step out for something and just take orders. And it was great.
Yeah. Sometimes, when we have a situation occur, I'm like, where's the adult? I'm like, I need an adult. Like, where is the adult? And I'm like, wait, am I the adult? And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so hard. Because I'm always used to having someone, monitoring me behind me. Even in, real, jobs I've had before, there's always someone behind me. So to be in that kind of, forward-facing position where you're the one in charge, it's been really difficult to take power sometimes because I'm like, I'm the one who has the authority. I can make these decisions. Because sometimes I'll text Lynn, I'm like, Lynn, I need you. But I'm like, wait, she's trained me so I can handle these situations. So I've been trying to remind myself of that. Yeah.
I can contest to that too. With junior high, everything's different. Stress just shifts levels as you progress in things. So we have a different level of stress than the elementary school side. So one thing we have to deal with is little mini relationships with the children. They like each other or whatever. So I had to just assess one of the little relationships, and there's just so much. I was like, okay, I know the energy is going on right here, but how, who's supposed to tell them how to regulate this? Me? Oh my God, I didn't, since I've already been through middle school, I didn't want to go back and have to do it again. I was like, oh wait, okay guys, so we need to take a minute and just have a little talk with them. Then they understood, but I was like, that was the worst 5 minutes of my life. Oh my gosh, I feel like I need a nap after that. I was very drained, but they got the point. So the goal was assessed, but it was tiring. It was tiring for sure.
So London, is this your first summer with Project Transformation, or have you been, okay?
It's my first summer, yes.
Very good. How about Sin, how about you?
Same as well.
First summer, all right, very good. So you've named, I think, some places where struggle, right? Relationship drama in junior high, no matter what the context, right? It is going to be one in which it doesn't matter if you're 20 or if you're 40 or somewhere beyond that, you're still going, how do I help them navigate through this?
Yes.
What has been, that may be of one of the moments where you felt like you needed a nap afterwards, right?
Yeah.
What have been some of the moments throughout the summer that left you kind of feeling lighter on your feet, right? Where there's clear joy or clear connection to, I'm doing something I didn't think I could do, or it was fun and happy, right? At Family Fun Night the other night, y'all led all the students in dance, and it was not as sort of somebody who wasn't in on what was about to happen before it happened. It wasn't what we were expecting. I've been at the elementary site for far too long, right?
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. It was amazing and really good. And you could tell in a season of life where some young people can be more cynical, right? Which is a junior high thing because life is hard in junior high,
Yeah.
right? They were into it, and
Yeah.
and y'all had established that relationship well enough to invite them into something that they'd be into, right? Does that make sense? So what have been some of those moments of levity, moments of joy, moments where you felt connected to, I can do this, and this is going well?
Personally, we open at 9, but we have 2 students. One is in particular that loves to get there like before 9, and just like for peace of mind for us, we don't open the doors until like 8:55 at the earliest. But he always gets there early. He's like, guys, I just want to be around you guys. I want to play Uno. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that. And so like just seeing that they actually want to be around us, and like even middle school is like hard to connect with because they close off. So like I said, it's a hard time in life. But like all of them, they actually want to be around us. So I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And then like they wanted to do the wobble, and then they wanted to participate in the wobble. They wanted to teach their friends the wobble. They wanted to make sure we all knew the steps. It was this. And they really enjoyed the whole summer. I really enjoyed being with them. So that was a high moment for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Adding on to what Lyndon said, I always felt like a lot of anxiety going into school sometimes. And so when I see that my kids want to be at Project Transformation, they want to spend the day with me, or like whenever they express their needs, I'm like, it's so amazing to know that I've cultivated a space where they can express those needs. Because oftentimes I feel like in a traditional school setting, when you express, I need to use the restroom, or I need to, I'm hungry, or something like that, it almost feels like it's almost embarrassing in a way. It's like, it doesn't feel like you can safely express those needs. Whenever my kids are like, oh, I need this, I need that, it makes me really happy to see that they feel safe enough to let us know that they need something and that we can provide those needs for them, and that they won't be turned away or they won't feel ashamed for having those needs. Yeah. And so being able to create that safe space for kids and have those kids wanting to come back, it's just been so happy. I love seeing them. Like sometimes they're at the door, like, because we have a open patio window, and it'll be 8:30 and their faces are plastered against the window like this, and they'll be ready, they'll look at us, and I'm like, I have to turn away. I'm like, because if I see, we're not here yet. Because if I see those little puppy dog eyes, I just have to open the door. Yeah. So it's been something, yeah.
Very good, very good. Y'all have done some partnership work, right? Being one site in 2 locations. Share with us a little bit of what that partnership of the elementary program and the newly formed middle school program, what that has looked like over the course of the summer.
So the first collaboration we did, we had a water day.
Yes.
That was really fun. So we had like all kinds of water balloons. Before that, we had like a little bit of field day games like basketball and kickball. And water guns as well. They took out a lot of their aggression on us, man. Like we were soaked up after that day. We were tired. I literally could not move anything. I couldn't even, it hurt to blink after that day. I was just so worn out with the water, the running around, asking for my water gun back. People stole my water gun I had in my hand. I don't know where it went. Like it was just, they had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun. Our kids and the little kids, they had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then for our second collaboration, we did Summerween, Halloween in the summer. So we had our middle schoolers make healthy Halloween snacks. We had popcorn hands. We had little cutie, what are they called? Jack-o'-lanterns. Oh, yeah. And then we had little cheese sticks, and we called them boo sticks. And this is where we kind of met some hardships, especially with our teams and wanting to collaborate, just because I felt that we both had, obviously we prioritized our own kids in a way. And so sometimes it's hard to meet in the middle when you're collaborating, because you're thinking of the best interest for your kids, and London's obviously going to think for the best interest for her kids. And so we've had some team members from the elementary school side express that maybe they weren't too they were a little hesitant and wary of having the middle schoolers interact with the elementary schoolers, because they didn't want our kids to feel like ashamed of having a costume on, or like they didn't want the middle schoolers to poke fun at them. And so that's some things that we had to work through. Like I had to trust London's team when they told me that our middle school kids are good. They're not going to do that to your kids. They want to be with the kids. They want to interact with the kids. And then London had to do trusting on her part to be assured that my team would try their best to prepare for the middle schoolers and also make it seem like we wanted and we do want them there. Yeah, so that was a bit of a roadblock we hit, but then we did it, and the middle schoolers loved handing out the treats, and the elementary loved having middle schoolers to look up to, because they're so cool to them, you know? Yeah.
The day went by so smooth. Like the tiredness I felt from day one of the water day to day 2 of summer week, it was completely different. I was drained the water day, but on summer week, like I feel like I'd go do another day at site. The next, I was like, it was way smoother.
Yeah.
Very good. One of the things I've appreciated from the outside looking in, and what I'm hearing and what you're saying, I know with the elementary kids, you've got the 5 B's, right? You work through and begin every day with be respectful, be a listener, be a learner, be a leader,
and
one
be
more.
a friend.
Be a friend. There we
Yes.
go. But the clarity of not just naming those 5 things, but there's always a sentence afterwards that kind of contextualizes it for the young people. I'm sure there's a similar kind of framework of some sort for our middle school students, but that clarity of communication between y'all, right, set the groundwork for a successful day with your students, right?
Right.
And it's the same action in play as setting the beginning kind of here's the 5 B's that we're going to start the day with the elementary kids each and every day. Lynn, as y'all were looking to say yes to this middle school program for the first time, right? It's stepping into an unknown, right? It's stepping into a first for us. This is not something that Project Transformation Central Texas has done before. What were some of your hopes and dreams coming into this summer?
Yeah, so having served at North Texas for a couple of years, I did see the junior high model in action, but we hadn't done it here. So it's not that I needed to specifically replicate that, but as far as hopes and dreams go, I know one of the models is that we have our junior high school students interact and do community service so that they can see themselves as leaders, shakers, and groovers right now. They don't have to wait till they're adults and have master's degrees before they can pitch in and do things in community. And so I encourage them, so find some community service things that you can do. And so my dream is that they would find some that they were very connected to and that they would be able to act on those so that they could see themselves as leaders. Because I think that's really important when you're 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, that you can see, I have some ways to make a difference, and I can do it now. And so one of the things that was really fun for me was to watch these 2 teams try to come together and carry that out because, there is a protective nature. You're like, these are our elementary kids. We love them. We want everything to go well, and y'all felt the very same way. So collaborating and finding a way to let the junior high school kids serve the elementary school kids and have that work really well was empowering, and I think it was good. And that day was kind of a fulfillment of my dreams of how junior high is supposed to work. I know.
Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, that was it. I just kind of held my breath and watched y'all work it out. And then when you just nailed it, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
Yeah.
And the middle schoolers really liked the fact that, what they were doing would actually, they could visibly see the results of what they were doing. Because I feel like a lot of times, sometimes what we tend to do is, we say that they're doing something, but then they don't get to see the, result of it or the effect of what they've been doing.
Yeah.
And so they got to make those snacks and then hand it out and then just interact with the kids. And they were like, wow, we got to make these kids happy. They're going to enjoy the decorations that I put on. So it was just really amazing to see that light bulb go off in their head because it gave them a sense of agency and importance and that their actions did have an effect on other people. Yeah.
Howard Thurman, when talking about kind of raising a next generation of leadership, often says we can give people an incredible gift when we give them a crown to grow into. Right? It may be a little too big for, we believe more in the leadership capacity of someone than they may even believe in themselves. And so often when I think of Project Transformation, I think of the crowns that are being given to y'all, to be placed on your heads where you're looking around going, am I the adult in this situation? Right? But it's happening kind of stair-stepping down too. It's also being given to our middle school students. They're getting their own crown to grow into, and the world is better for it, right? As they flourish as leaders, as they grow, and they're self-understanding and knowing the gifts that they have to bring to the table that God has given them. It's a beautiful thing, I think. And so I'm thankful that you pushed to make sure that we could do this middle school thing and that you helped make it happen and that we got to just benefit from the side of it at our Martin side, right? It was a wonderful and beautiful thing. As we think about Project Transformation and summer partnerships, a part of that partnership is with full-time staff and the college interns over the summer. And some of that partnership is with local churches. Can you talk to us a little bit about whether it's at the elementary level or the middle school level, what church partnership looks like with Project Transformation? If people hear this and say, I'm thankful that we are doing this as a collective United Methodist body as the annual conference, but I want to get involved. What does that partnership look like?
Just like United Methodism is connectional, so is the way that we operate. It's very connectional. So a church will apply to be a host site. And when we are able to make that site a host site, then we have to have a lot of partners who are going to support that, who are going to say, you know what, I can serve meals to college-age young adults. I can read with children. I can bring some supplies. I can participate in family fun night. Right. I can support financially because it takes finances to support all of this and to keep the whole thing going, right? Mm-hmm. We've got to pay these fine young people. This is not a free internship.
Y'all get paid?
This is a paid internship, right? And we supply them with housing, and because this is an intentional community. So it's not just a job. They're not going home after site. They're coming back to community to do more community work together. And so it takes finances to support that community life as well. And so I would say anyone interested in being a partner, all of those things are on the checkbox of ways to get involved. And we have some really great church partners who do all of those things. They're supporting on all levels. And then we have some churches who say, you know what, we're not quite ready to support at that level. We'll do what we can. And the answer is yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. Talk to us. We will find a way to help any partner get engaged at a level that they're comfortable with, because it takes a lot of us to make a model like PT work. It really does. I would say just alone, Project Transformation this summer probably had about 200 volunteers.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Touch our program to make it work. So that's a big community.
That is a big community. I know just at the Bedford site between First Bedford and Martin, how many churches did we have involved? We had Martin, we had First Bedford, we had First Colleyville, Keller sent readers, Hurst sent a reader or two, St. Paul and Hurst had folks there. That's at least 6 churches. And I'm sorry if I forgot your church and you were partnered in Bedford. I'm sorry. But at least 6 churches to make one site with 2 locations work and work well.
Yeah.
It is a work that is shared. And one of the beautiful things about being United Methodist, right, is that we're connectional. We've got this innate gift of this connection of trust and connection of being in ministry together already that helps make Project Transformation take it's even next level step, right? And so
yeah, and we've had several churches come to us in this past season and say, what would it take to open a site outside of Tarrant County?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, let's make it work. We just have to find that core of churches who will support a site church and be there consistently summer after summer to ensure, because for us, we don't want to come into a community and only serve a year or 2. We want to build long-term relationships with the children, with their families, with the volunteers, with the host site churches, because these children get to know our interns deeply, get to know our program deeply, get to know our volunteers and our stakeholders deeply. And so we want to walk with those children all the way through.
Yeah.
So I met a young woman when I first came on board with Project Transformation in 2015. She had been a child in our program. And when I met her, she was an intern. And I said, tell me about your journey. And she said, well, I started as a first grader in Project Transformation. I was a student at Project Transformation until I hit junior high, and then a junior high school program opened, and so I did that, and then a high school program opened, and then I did that. She said, I graduated, and I went to college, and I'm the first in my family to go to college, and so now I've applied to come back and be an intern.
So cool.
Wow.
And I stopped and said, that's everything. That's the whole thing right there.
Yeah.
So these long-term relationships are real game changers for everyone, for all of us.
For everyone, not just for Project Transformation, not just for the interns, not just for staff, but for churches too. I know one of the highlights of my summer, and I've told this story about 17 times, so if you've heard from me, I'm sorry, but was one of those intersection moments. One of the first couple of days I went to go read as a reading volunteer. The young man I was reading with couldn't get his first word out to begin reading his book because a buddy across the room said, "Hey, I know you. You were with Academy 4, which is another one of our neighboring mentoring ministry that we do in the neighborhood." And pretty soon he began to not only say, "I know you," but then he pointed, "I know you, I know you." And like this young person knew that they were surrounded by a community of care, because those connections matter. And it's a community of care that walked with them through the school year, through one ministry of the church, and through summer with Project Transformation. And like, I know this kid's life story now, right? Because sometimes when they start talking, there's no stopping, right? There's just an opening up that happens, and you're just going to go with it. But there's a level of those connections matter for the church to be at its best, for Project Transformation to be at its best, for y'all to be at your best, for the young people to have adults in their life and young adults in their life who care about them, not because it's their job, not because they're supposed to or have to or whatever, but because they do. And that makes an incredible difference, right? There's going to be a young child who at the end of this summer is telling stories of what London meant in their life. There's going to be a young child at the end of this summer that's going to be telling stories of what sin, even though you were the principal and maybe had to have some restorative justice corrective conversations with some kids. There's going to be people who are telling stories of what you meant in their life, not just through the fall, but over time. And that's the beauty and the power of this deep relational ministry. Now, y'all shared a little bit. I think the numbers are still coming in. This is a deeply relational ministry that is not a literacy program, but it's also has deep literacy components to it. And especially in a season of our shared world where we're kind of, at least educationally, still in a bit of a post-COVID recovery, right? Kids, especially the elementary age kids who were in the program, right? Many of them had their prime learning to read 18-month window radically disrupted, right, by the COVID-19 pandemic. And so this is a season that is deeply instrumental for their relational life, but also for their educational life.
Yes.
And so Alexis isn't here, but what she shared yesterday, I think, was that at our Bedford site, every child who we tested took a step to the next level of their reading level over the course of the summer. How cool is that?
It's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
As a dad, I'm like, woo!
Yeah. And a lot of the kids that we do get, they have working parents, and so it's really amazing when they have a volunteer just for themselves to be able to read, to just have that one person. Because at school, you have a teacher with 15, 20 kids, and so they don't really get that one-on-one reading time. But to be able to do that Monday through Thursday, to just know that this person's for me, that they're going to help me, and that I can just read this to them, it's really changed the way like they want to approach reading, because they know that someone's listening. Because it's fun to read by yourself, but kids like attention. And so when you have someone just clinging on to every word you say, they love it. They soak up all the attention. I mean, I've seen kids like pick a favorite volunteer and they get real upset if they don't get that volunteer, because they've just grown so attached to the volunteers and they just love reading to the volunteers. I didn't realize how much of a difference it made reading alone. Like if we have them read alone, quiet time, versus reading with another human being that they can connect to. It's just been so transformational with the way they approach reading as well. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah. We are coming near the end of our time here together, and y'all have been amazing, just as you have all summer long. Sin and London, I'm curious if you had any kind of parting words for college-age young adults who maybe encounter Dr. Reeves or Lynn at a recruiting fair over the course of this coming school year and are considering, does this internship thing, something I want to do or not, as they're investigating Project Transformation? What would you say to them in their time of discernment, as they're approached about potential for serving as an intern next year?
I would definitely take it. It's definitely an experience on an experience on an experience on an experience. I don't live on campus during the school year, so that was one of it, part of it, getting to experience to live on campus and have roommates. And then just like the PT bubble, the Project Transformation bubble is a real thing. Like you live with these people, you work with these people, you have dinner with these people. It's just everything. And also you learn a lot of soft skills that you need to have in your real life, real jobs outside of Project Transformation. You get to find out what being a teacher is like, how to work with kids, the restorative justice model, which is very important, I think, because a lot of us have gone through the old model of punitive punishment, and it the world we live in isn't as good as it could be. And I think we had restorative justice, it'd probably be a little bit better. So treating the next generation restorative justice and learning it yourself too. is definitely part like of the experience. So yeah, I would definitely go for it if you're thinking about it. It's definitely something.
I mean, if you have nothing to do in the summer and you're looking for a place to find yourself, find community, like I was saying earlier, it's like a great reflection of the body of Christ. I mean, you have different people who have so many different talents, and part of knowing what you want to do in the future is also knowing what you don't want to do. So I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to work with kids, and that's okay. At least that's one career you can cross off. And so it's been a journey finding out what I do, what I can do, what I don't want to do, what I'm capable of doing. So it's just been a summer of self-discovery, and like I said, like Lyndon said, healing from those old practices of just, if you're bad, you need to be alone. Like, we can't tell you what you did wrong, but you just have to sit in a corner. And so it's been lots of inner work and like child work for ourselves. Yeah, it's an amazing summer.
Very good. And Lynn, as we all know, our primary listenership here on the podcast, our viewership here on the podcast, is good Methodist nerds. And good Methodist nerds who will make up the bulk of the Horizon Texas Conference as we form. We'll have our forming gathering in September. And one of the pieces that we voted on at the last Central Texas Annual Conference was an encouragement, an ask for financial support to make sure that Project Transformation Central Texas receive the support it needed as we move into the Horizon Texas Conference. What would you say to those folks who are gathering in September to unify North Texas, Central Texas, and Northwest going forward?
I would say the work is good. The work is vital. The work is necessary. It meets one of the initiatives, actually more than one of the initiatives, that is near and dear to our hearts. So we've got to keep supporting this work. We've got to continue to hire excellent college-age young adults and give them a platform to do the soul searching and to do the work. And, you know, we always do the Buechner quote, right? and be able to explore that vocational calling, right? Yep. But we also need to allow our churches to make deeper connections in their own community. And we're such a good vehicle to leverage that, right? And in addition to that, just let parents know they have a safe place for their kids during this summer. Somebody asked me, I said, well, you know, if you're only charging $20 for a child for the entire summer, isn't that like almost like free childcare? And I said, what if it was?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what parents want is a safe place where their children are loved, where the children can grow. And so this system, it's not an easy elevator speech, but I would say, if anything, support this messy elevator speech, this system that's been built to pull people together that really is transformative. Because I don't know anything else that's like it. I just don't. I've been given my heart and soul, like I said, since 2015, and I just can't imagine doing anything else.
Amen. Lynn, thank you. London, thank you. Sin, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for being here on Pod Strangely Warmed. Until next time, I'm Daniel Hawkins. This has been Pod Strangely Warmed. If you enjoyed our conversation today, know that you can find us anywhere you find podcasts. On Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, any and all the places, we are there. So if you want to continue the good United Methodist conversation that you've been a part of today, find us, like us, rate us, review us, and share with a friend so that the good news that is happening right here in our own midst can amplify even